Get ready to make some food. We are making tuna noodle casserole. I don't know how they make noodles out of tuna. My boy Simon here, he's gonna be running the camera. Simon, you ready to run that camera?
Run it.
Simon! So here's what we got. We got tuna noodle casserole. You're gonna get a north side. These are only about 99 cents. They're $1.30 if you wanna get them somewhere other than Walmart, and you probably wanna get them somewhere other than Walmart because Walmart's ruining America. We're stepping up our backpacking meal game. We've got tuna noodle casserole. I wanna walk you through the ingredients as the water boils because I'm hoping that you know how to boil water. And if you don't know how to boil water, what are you doing with your life? That's not for me to worry about. We got our tuna here. This is bumblebee tuna. Bumblebee tuna.
Bumblebee tuna.
Bumblebee tuna.
Bumblebee.
Bumblebee tuna.
Bumblebee tuna. Tuna.
We got some panko breadcrumbs. So this came from a Hello Fresh package that came in the mail. These are just panko breadcrumbs. You can get them at any grocery store and they don't have to be sealed or pouched. You're just gonna add this at the end. If you don't have this, don't sweat it. It's fine. Use some Ritz crackers. Who cares? You're just trying to add a little bit of crunch to everything. I like my tuna noodle casserole like I like my women. Crunchy. I don't know what that even means either. So there's a little bit of like stepping up that game here. We ordered off the old interwebs. These are freeze-dried green beans. You know what you do if you don't have freeze-dried green beans? Nothing. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You're just making some food and you're gonna eat it at the end of a long day of hiking. At this point, you could literally boil something in your socks, your dirty socks, and it still tastes good. Don't do that. I don't recommend it, but you get the idea.
Can I just walk the camera from now on?
What we're gonna do though is we're gonna take a little bit of this. If I were going on a backpacking trip, I would put this in a baggie, but for now, I'm gonna add it in while the water's boiling. Now, this is gonna stay, the water's gonna be part of the dish, so I'm not worried about putting it in right now. However, if you're cooking a meal where you're going to drain the water, you wanna save this step for later, or maybe even just soak it in a cup off to the side to start letting it rehydrate. Doesn't really matter. Key here is, there's not a whole lot you can do wrong. They're just ways that you can make it either taste better or ways that you can change it or shift it about. So don't let any of this intimidate you. Just know that you're making food, and as long as you have something edible, you're in good shape. So any combination of this would be fine. A lot of people will eat food like this. They'll eat ramen bricks when they're on a backpacking trip without ever cooking it, because you can totally do that and it's fine. Don't let anything intimidate you. Just go after it, cook whatever you want, try some new things, try to keep it cheap, try to keep it somewhat healthy, and you're gonna be fine, right? Now you could add peas. You could add green peas to your dish and that would be fine as well. I wouldn't add yellow pea to your dish though.
I'm running it.
We got the creamy garlic shells. Doesn't matter though. Get the fettuccine Alfredo, get something with a cream sauce so you can make the tuna noodle casserole. So we got our water boiling here. That is super hot. That's hotter than anything I saw at Club La Vila, Spring Break 99, Panama City, PCB, you know? So what we're gonna do here is all real simple. Once it gets to this level, you start turning down that heat. All right, so what we've got here is we've got our water boiling here. If you're in the back country, you want to be really careful because once that water starts boiling, it can spill over the top, and often when you're in the back country, you're gonna have your food and your feet somewhere nearby because you're not sitting at a table like I am. So you want to be really super careful with it when it gets to this. Lower that heat or even take it off the heat. This is gonna cook either way. And then when you pour this in, this is absolutely critical here. When you pour it in, you want to make sure the shells and everything go in the water. Put it on the ground, it's not gonna taste good. Bam. So what you do here at this point is you're trying to move the water around in sort of circular motions. Common rookie mistake is going figure eight. You go figure eight and it actually messes up that flavor significantly, and it makes everything take a lot longer because it's infinity symbol. So you send that message to the food that this is going to take forever. There's a saying, the watch pot never boils. In French that translates loosely to the figure eight pot takes infinity time. Listen to the French, right? Stir it in a circle, don't shave your arm, smoke cigarettes from the age of 12, whatever you got to do to really get into that French spirit. And then really here we're going to take our bumblebee tuna. Bumblebee tuna. Bumblebee. Bumblebee tuna. Bumblebee. Bumblebee tuna. Bumblebee tuna. You're just putting that in there. Real simple. If it'll open. I have a PhD and I can't open a tuna pouch. I mean, granted, my PhD is not in tuna production or tuna packaging, but you would think that some of the skills would translate. I can, however, tell you how to cite this whole process in MLA, APA, or Chicago. So
for good luck, chuck this mug over your left shoulder.
Another thing that's a really good idea is to take all of your packaging and you store it all together. You want to make sure here when you're backpacking or camping that you keep this in your bear canister, in your food container, so that animals don't come in. Other alternative, if you have somebody in your camping group and they're starting to really get on your nerves, you're gonna tuck this bottom of their sleeping bag. Tuck this in their sleep. They will wake up, 500-pound bear in their face, and they're never gonna bother you again. We're going back to that really complicated stirring technique again. We're going, if you're in the northern hemisphere, counterclock, southern hemisphere, clockwise. These are not intuitive, but if you don't do it the right way, chances are good that your parents don't love you. It's also important here when you're thinking about plating this up, you're gonna put it in your bowl. You're gonna put it right into the middle of the bowl. You don't want to put it on the edges. Do you know why? Because it's not a side dish now. We're making the main course. You're not putting it on the side because it's the main course. Science.
Science. Science. What you got going on there, Doc Champion?
Got a little bit of that tuna noodle casserole. It's starting to boil up real nice. My hand is starting to hurt from all of the heat.
You got enough hair. Whoa.
Phenomena. Do, 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 do.
Phenomena.
You know what you do when your piano fish won't play right? You call a tuna fish. Do you get it? It's because it's a fish, and it's also tuna. You know what you call a really big tuna fish? A three-na fish. Here's your dad joke of the day. You know why scuba divers fall backwards out of the boat? So if they fell forwards, they'd land in the boat. You know what the hardest hike I've ever taken was? The one my ex-girlfriend told me to go on. We're gonna take this moment, we're gonna remember all of the women who have loved Simon in the past. All right, we're back to cooking here.
It's so true.
They're only get worse, everybody. What you're looking for really and truly in this meal is you just want those noodles to be soft, because that's ultimately when it's ready to eat. And again, I want to set your mind at ease with this. One of the things that's a real advantage with this dish is that it's really hard to mess up. So just let it cook. It can cook fast, it can cook slow. If you're gonna cook it faster though, stir it a lot. You don't want it to scorch to the bottom of the pan for two reasons. First, you don't want that burnt flavor in your food, obviously. Bumblebee tuna? Second reason is when you're out in the backcountry, you're not gonna have a sink and all the accessories. You don't wanna have to scrape the bottom of that pan. You want it to come clean really nicely. And if you have a good nonstick pan like this is the GSI Duelist. It's got a really great Teflon coating. They're not a sponsor, although I'd like them to be. I'd love if we got a sponsorship from REI. I'd love if we got a sponsorship from Subaru. Bumblebee tuna? Love to drive a Subaru. If you run a craft beer company and you want us to crush a couple of 6-packs while we're doing this, you need to get in touch with me right now. What are you waiting for? Sponsor us. We'll drink your beer. I don't care. It can be made in your bathtub. It can be Prohibition bathtub beer. We don't discriminate. It could have just little notes of Irish Spring and a little bit of 409. And if you're willing to pay for this video, I'm willing to drink it. All right, so take a look here. Simon, pull it on in. What we have here, and you can really start to see how much thicker it's gotten. The noodles will start to take up a lot of that space. And here you go. We are really, really close. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn off the heat, let that sort of take off from there. I'm gonna plate up a couple of these bad boys for us. I've got the two little dishes here. And again, for this whole meal, we're talking $3, and you could eat it if you're on a long hike and you need a lot of calories. This can be a really great solo meal. If you're on a shorter hike, or maybe you have enough food for a couple of different people, it can be a lot of, you can make it into one solo meal. William the Refrigerator Perry. So what we got here, this is panko breadcrumbs. This is it's just sort of a leftover from HelloFresh. And now what we get is just a little nice topping here. We hit the top of this here, a little bit of that panko breadcrumb. Bam.
So this is the bumblebee tuna and Nor's sides. Just gonna try it out. This like smells good. Oh ha. Oh, oh ha. Oh, they're delicious. I'm not a big fan of fish.
Bumblebee tuna.
Bumblebee tuna. I know I look like I like sushi, but I crush stereotypes.